just kind of we're gonna BS as you said it and just talk about hobby stuff and you know first off, Nats man, this week did you get anything? I know you've sold most of your collection. Did you anything come in? Any more sales?
First of
Laying
all,
low? Any news?
first off,
Okay.
hashtag to the south.
There you go. Oh, and welcome to Big Scott 35.
That's it. Forgot our intro.
Triple Crown JT.
Triple Crown JT tonight.
That's the man of many hats in our hobby.
And we're going to go in
hair, I
depth
don't
tonight,
wear any
y'all.
hats.
Well, figuratively speaking.
We're going to go in pretty good depth tonight is one I'm hearing. I'm excited about this tonight.
I do have the game on right here, so if you see my eyes and I dead air or I yell something, please take note. Watching the game. So if you're and it's 10-9-22 if you're watching this later, so it's the Mets Padres game. So we're losing 2-0 right now. Hey Andy, how you doing? Yeah, you're happy. Yeah.
What's up, Andy?
So Nats man, back any news or anything with you for the week? Or
I haven't picked anything up. I've been looking. I got a couple of things, on the watch list.
Right.
Other than the funny that I sent you, asking was it too soon on that gift?
Right. No, that was
the
funny.
Mets. That's been about the leg of it. Is
yeah, I've gotten quite a bit of those from different people, but deservingly so. To be a fan, you got to be. It's all part of the fun of rooting for your fandom. For who you are. One day maybe JT will have that feeling again. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that too soon?
It's every day of my life, man. We've got all 4 teams where I'm at, and none of them are good.
Still mine, same boat.
Yeah. But my Cowboys won today. They looked real good. But we'll get JT just put out a video today about the Midwest Monster. I was questioning to watch it because I didn't know if it was an adult expo from the 80s or was it a car show called the Midwest Park 2 or whatever monster.
Say that 3 times really quick.
And I've been waiting all day to have that joke. I've been sitting on it all day waiting. And once you said, because you said the thing Midwest Monster 2 Electric Boogaloo, that got a chuckle out of me. Okay, we got Jeff here. Hoping to see you in Troy, Michigan there. He's a Detroit Red Wings fan. We got Pafazzi. Scott, how did the Mets do? Well, they're playing right now. What's up, Bobbles? Glad to see you here. I did pick up this right here, which is not a big thing in our hobby, but always like to pick it up. I'm hoping to there's some Mets guys in the if you like minor league baseball, this is a great pickup and also great to see the uniforms of the minor leagues. I love that. It's a cheap, less than $100 for the jumbo, and I got this Clearly Authentic today, which I might open before we get off tonight. You always pick it up, hoping for the best, but we all know what is it? A case of 12, and 11 of them will, have some third
break your heart.
Yeah. So it is what it is.
Look who jumped on here.
Who we got? Oh, we got it. Oh, it come with egg.
Egg in the house.
Midwest Monsters, my girls' roller derby team. That's funny. And the funny thing is, back I don't know how many years ago it was now, 10, 15, went to Ohio, close to Cleveland, matter of fact, and hung out with a bunch of roller derby girls with one of my friends. Went on a bar crawl, and I didn't even know. I started talking to them, and we went to a bar, and I thought I was going to be in the middle of a fight with a bunch of women, and they all ended up being like
Yo,
different roller derby teams. I was like,
yeah,
no,
my cousin,
it's
she
such a-
did that, man. She
Huh?
did that down. My cousin, she did that down in Myrtle Beach. When
Oh,
she lived
really?
there, she's relocated to Charleston. She's a nurse, a triage nurse, and is on a roller derby team.
Right.
And so I was like, oh my God, they're like elbowing. It's like a wrestling match on wheels. I
Yeah.
watched it.
Have you ever seen one of those, JT? You're
Uh,
a young guy, so
The
Saturday was-
closest I've come was there was a Groupon one time that was like for tickets to an event that was like tempting, but not tempting enough to take the deal. So no, I have not.
when I was growing up, it was kind of one of the Saturday things, like in the afternoon, Saturday afternoon, it'd be roller derby after like WWE or whatever wrestling came on, and it was the roller derby. So
Yeah, I remember that.
it was kind of, then you watched your kung fu or western or whatever of the week. So anyway, also I want to just touch on. Also, we want to show a card. I'm going to start make sure I show a card on a card show. So I did have this pickup this week, and I just want to touch on this before we get to JT. This is a Pete Alonso triple threads, I believe. I get that in the I think it is. It's a 15 gold emerald. And I picked this up $78 shipped I thought that was a good buy for it for way Pete's been playing this year. He's had more than 40 home run 40 home runs, 100 some RBIs.
I don't want y'all see me in my drawers.
What's up, Andrew?
Hey, you did a triple whatchamadoodle card. I gotta show you this one, man.
All right. Oh, that is nice.
Old Soto.
Yeah, I hope he has a good playoff. After they beat the Mets tonight, I hope he bounces back a little bit.
That's the one I didn't get rid of.
Yeah, you got to keep, I know you love Soto, and just because he went to the Padres doesn't mean he left baseball. It's not like he went to the Yankees.
I can't think of the guy's name. Scotty something, his channel. Are y'all familiar with him? He's got a channel, and he's got a card shop that's Scotty something cards. He did
Scotty B cards.
Scotty B cards. Yeah.
Scotty B cards. And he did a pretty good Soto. I agreed with some of his stuff, but I think he needed to listen to your dad about why probably his hobby is not as hot.
Right.
And I agree with your dad after he made that statement, and I'll let you share that. Since yours, your dad. Your daddy made that statement. I wholeheartedly agree with it.
When he went to the West Coast, if he went the other way, it would have probably
going to the West Coast. All of his fans are on the East Coast, and that
right.
time delay, they're not able to see the games.
Yeah, the games are so.
And he's out of picture, out of mind.
Right, but the reason why I wanted to show that is because most of the time I cannot get a Pete Alonso for 150, 180, 200. But I did pick that one up. And then you made a statement today that dealers were willing to work with you this weekend. Because that's why I want to talk to you. The last time that I went to the show, me and Natsman went, stuff was just crazy expensive. Even it was priced as it should, 2 months ago, when it was peak beginning of the summer. It's hard to work with that.
Didn't want to make deals.
Yeah. So you set up a shows and you keep a pulse on sales. You grind every day. We'll get into your ComC stuff in a little bit. Do you think that's a trend moving forward, or is that too high of an expectation? Or how do you think that's going to be talking? Because you said you talked to a lot of these dealers this weekend. They were mighty chatty with you. So,
yeah, when you're going to these shows, and someone had mentioned this in a conversation that I had overheard, there are people who fly into some of these shows, like the Industry Summit in Vegas. Nobody is driving to Las Vegas. Like very few people are going to do that. This show, nobody really flies in for the Midwest Monster. A lot of people, it's not large enough to justify, I think, flying in as like a Dallas show would be.
Right.
But take the Dallas show, for example. People fly into that. People fly into Burbank. There are definitely people who will fly in for the Nashville show that I'll be doing at the end of October. And when you start to add all those things up, you got to factor in flights and hotels. And even if you're driving, the cost of gas is still, even though it's come down, it's still ridiculously high compared to what we've been used to over the past couple of years. So when you have all of these expenses, not to mention your table space too, it makes sense that you need to make sure that the show is worth it for you.
Mhm.
And that means if you can't sell enough stuff, you need to buy enough stuff to make sure that it was worth the trip, or you need to make trades that increase the overall value of what you have. I think more people who have stuck around are realizing that now, and they know that to keep their businesses going, they have to do that. So, like for me, for example, I didn't spend as much time in a value box as I normally would, because even though I'm only driving there from 2 hours away and I have a hotel room, I want to make sure that it's worth it. Like I need to make some pretty significant moves on all three fronts: buying, selling, trading, if I want to make it worth it. So I think that if these larger shows that people are actually traveling to keep up, you're going to see more and more of that, especially if the table fees are high. For this one, this past weekend, it was $200. And I mean, that's a lot to get to right away. And it takes the right kind of buyer to even sell a $200 card. So you got to put in the work if you want to get there. It's not as easy as it once was. And I think a lot of these guys are starting to catch on to that, hopefully.
Yeah, because it kind of the first stages of that I saw was when people at the Dallas show at, I guess it was beginning of the summer. You might have even been at that. I can't remember. They were taking the big cards and trying to trade them for multiple lesser amount cards to maybe sell those, be easier to sell off. I kind of went, oh, that's kind of an eye-opening thing there. Is that what you're seeing as well, as like people trying to take bigger cards now and going in the opposite direction instead of trying to move up the ladder? They're trying to get stuff that's easier to sell, or in their eye, maybe, can get more out of them, having multiple cards instead of one.
It's at a lower price point, I guess.
Right. You hear that term liquid probably. And if
Yeah,
you haven't
yeah,
heard it yet, you're going to hear it more and more, I think, going forward, that people are trying to trade for things that in their eyes are more liquid. So and by that, I just mean like the hot players or cards that are transacted often, where people are constantly moving them around. So it's almost as if it's an easier way to kind of cash out, if you will, and you'll have a better idea exactly of what you have. So yes, I'm definitely seeing that. Another thing that I heard of too, and I know that we briefly mentioned this before we went on the air, so I don't want to dive too much into it right now, but a lot of those PSA orders from the end of the backlog are trickling in as the backlog pretty much comes to an end here over the last quarter of 2022. And a lot of people I spoke to said, I'm just trying to recoup the costs, because probably a lot of what they sent in is not worth it now, after all this time that they waited. And
20 months.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, hopefully some lessons learned. I have a couple of cards out right now where you just I'm scratching my head at why did I send that in? It's a sunk cost for me, that I considered that money gone 20 months ago, but it's not going to turn out as well as I had hoped, but it's not a huge loss. But for example, one of the buys that I had was, I bought 10 of these cards right here. This Black Star Charizard, which was a huge card last year. I bought this stack of 10 for $250. And I mean, I remember not all that long ago where you couldn't even get one for $250. So I think you're going to see a lot of that. A lot of people try to move some of these slabs maybe in bulk, or even trying to get now raw stuff seems to be coming around because PSA has opened up. A lot of people want to scoop up the raw stuff that previously wasn't submitted. So that's where I kind of see it going.
That was a question I have for you, JT, is with that lag between cards coming back from the various PSA, SGC, whoever, that lag coming back, and then people, at the shows trying to sell, trade, or buy. What kind of lag point are you seeing? Is it still within a few weeks, or is it, like right now are you seeing a lot of raw cards? Are we at that point where the shows is there any kind of lag with that?
I'm hearing a lot of, if I don't sell it here, I'm going to send it to PSA type of talk on a lot of the raw stuff that people are getting. Or I've been waiting to send this to PSA, or I'm thinking about sending this to SGC. So the idea right now, I don't know if that is a bluff or that is actually true, because they might just be saying that in order to make the sale at that time. I would lean towards it's actually true, that they are actually planning to submit it. I don't know. I think that people have learned that you can't just submit anything and make money on it with grading. It's more complicated than that. It's, you can do it. There are certainly ways to do it, but I think the days of sending in anything are long gone, and people recognize that now. I do think, though, that some of the trends that I see in terms of what people are looking for, they don't know. I don't know how to explain this. I don't know if they've fully learned yet. I think that they have a new idea now, and I think they're going to be wrong with that too. But they'll learn. They'll learn.
Right. For selling purposes, it just seems like we went back to Raw, and as soon as we get comfortable with Raw, here comes PSA opening their doors up and opening their arms up, saying we're home. We got the dinner on. Ringing the dinner bell, and everybody's just, all the videos this week, everybody, and it should be a lot of attention to it. SGC, CSG, and I'll get to those points, but I want to talk about the show a little bit more. You said it wasn't as busy this time as the last one, but you said it was just a lot of things going on in that area, or this wasn't like what's that? It's not Hallmark. What's the card company that's in Ohio they got a made-up holiday for on a weekend? Because I was there that weekend before. Was it something else going on in that area that kind of didn't it, or what's it? It's not cold yet, so
right.
What was
it's funny. There are, at the sports card show, believe it or not, people might actually be distracted by the sports themselves.
Right.
You have playoff baseball going on in college football, and
that's true. Very true.
So
Very true.
People were like surprised like that. Like, people want to watch these games. Now, for me,
Right.
my teams, I listened to the Ohio State game on my way home after the show, and it was a blowout. I wasn't too concerned about the game, so I didn't really care too much about it.
Yeah.
But none of my teams, they're not sniffing the playoffs and anything, so I don't have to worry about that. But there were people who were interested in watching those. I was told that this show was specifically scheduled for this weekend because it was fall break for a lot of the kids that were in the area.
Okay.
But one point that was brought up that I heard that I've never really even thought about was there's a lot of college age kids who go to these shows, and if it's a home football game or something, you're out, having a few adult beverages at the tailgate or at the game. You're not going to the card show on Saturday morning.
Right.
So not having that presence there, I think really it takes a hit. Anybody who wants to criticize the young crowd out there, well, they were noticeably absent. There was still quite a few young people there, but it wasn't. I think that is definitely a very valid point. And then on top of it too, you have kids, like parents too, with their kids, maybe they're playing football or any of the fall sports out there. Maybe they're taking a little trip for their fall break. There's just a lot going on.
Well,
And
pretty much every sport plays in the fall now.
Fall, yeah.
Baseball,
Right.
soccer, football,
Yeah.
everything.
Fall leagues, yeah, but everything.
And you can't ignore the current economy situations. That was the talk the last time they had this show, was that, you know, they were uncertain about the economy. 3
That's
months
kind of the way
later.
I was kind of getting into, and I think you were getting to every point but to that one, because you knew that was where, because
Yeah.
the economy, because you said you have fun with $500 at a show, and I've seen firsthand at the National. Now, this year was more fascinating, and this man on Wednesday showed me his little box with full of cards, and then Friday evening, same box, different cards, and it got a little bit higher value. And me and him talked about one. He's smiling as well. I had to sell that one, which I don't mind. And you talk about trade nights. That I when you said that before, I was like, instead of art of the deal, you need to make a book of art of the trade, because I think you had that down. I think you like going to shows just to do the trades now. I think you're addicted to that. Is there some truth to that? Am I close?
Is it the negotiation itself?
Just it's the feel of winning.
Well, yeah, the win definitely comes once the card sells, because I've made trades that I thought
Okay.
were going to be layups, and I miss the backboard completely. It goes right over it, and I'm in trouble. So, I mean, I do. The trading is certainly much easier to do there than online. I very scarce in terms of like the online trades. They're kind of here and there. But even so, you just get to see different stuff, and not being able to or making it so that I don't have to use my cash is very key. I think in acquiring cards, it allows me to maybe move some things that I normally couldn't move, and it opens up new opportunities. You expose those cards to people who maybe wouldn't be necessarily looking for them online, and can open your eyes, because sometimes some of the best cards in the room are being carried around in those cases. They aren't even in the showcases. So
Oh, that's the truth. As soon as I see them open, and the younger the person, the more interested I am to see what it is. I'm fascinated by this. And the respect for me to that is the grind that I know they put in to get to those, and watching you do it, and or just seeing the smile on your face. You had such a childish smile on your face when you showed it to me on Friday. The one you're giving me right now, it's like, look what I got, and it was it was a pretty amazing, coming from a guy that's a collector, and I don't really get into the trading all that much.
How close was it to Eddie Murphy's skit? I got some ice.
No, it wasn't that
ain't
close,
got
but
none.
he gives that smile like he's giving now, like, hey, look what I got type of deal. He didn't say it, but he was just like, give you that smile. And it was pretty cool. And I could see how you could do. And I mean, my thing is, I go with $200 because, I don't have money like I go to the National with. I go to about 3 or 4 shows a year where I got some money, and the National is where I go to get my big cards. Just because it's not so much because that's where only place you can get them. It's the National, and it makes it more fun to remember it. What's up, Ron Fig?
Ron Fig.
Wow. What's up, brother? But what I wanted to also get into the next phase is like going into ComC. Now, a lot of that stuff are you just doing that so it's almost like you're working? To me, it felt like we were doing economics when I was watching that, where you were like buying, holding, wasn't even taking in the card, you're reselling it. And it looked like you were getting cards that you were trying to get just from looking at it. you thought you could double up your money on. So is that just added more fun for you, or is that just a legit? I saw, your first month you brought in. Is that just extra money coming in, or how are you working that for your business end?
That's a good question. The money that was my total sales, I think part of it that you have to keep in mind is that so everything that I had has come from $600. That's what I put into that account. And that's all that's gone into that account. Tomorrow I get my $100 that I can add in if I choose. I'm running a little low on my credit right now, so I might opt for that. But when you see like 900 in sales, it's not like I manufactured the cards myself. They were
Right.
all cards that I had purchased. So how much of that was actual profit? I don't know that exact number off the top of my head, but I've definitely increased the overall of what I have. And really, I see it as accelerating the process. This would be the same thing that I'd be doing if I was at a show. I'm just doing it online. And I'm cutting out a lot of the middle stages of taking pictures, putting it in my store, shipping it out, responding to offers, because my store is set up with auto accept for offers. So, I mean, I guess that's a tip out there for anyone who wants to shop in my store is that if you find the threshold, I'll automatically accept anything at that price. But yeah, it's really just trying to move it along and reduce the amount of work that I have to do on my end, so I can focus on really the larger cards that I have here and put more attention on those rather than dealing with the smaller stuff and just kind of. I had hired people previously to work for me. They did a great job, but to teach someone about sports cards is you got to get out the rule book, and it's this tall to teach them
Right.
everything about it. So in my eyes, it was more so COMC. I could basically pay them less than I would pay an actual employee, but a livable wage to do the work, and they are experts at what they do, and they're going to handle a lot more for me than I could ask any employee to do in even 6 months' time. So I kind of took back some of the things I said and decided, hey, it only hurts me to not use their platform. So that's kind of how I've viewed it here over the last month or so. I've been doing it now.
Well, I mean, if somebody fixes themselves, in a retail world, it's not wrong going back, but you know what? They might have never fixed it if people didn't voice their displeasure in what they were doing. So you had every right to say the things. I was right with you.
What kind of volume, what kind of volume or percentage are you diverting to COMC from your shop, your online store?
Well, right now the idea is to take anything that would have been sent via standard envelope and move it over there. So it's really just looking at my lower value stuff. I'm taking the cards that are not worth sending to COMC and going back to sport lots with those. And then I am taking the cards that are worth it at COMC to send it to them. So really, at this moment in time, I have 1,000 cards that are sitting in their warehouse, but none of them are processed at this point. So everything that I have there right now is all stuff that I have bought from them. So that's probably a question that, 6 months from now, I could give you a better answer on. But in terms of like my actual capital, aside from that $100 a week, if I want to use it, which I've only used it 1 out of 4 times, nothing is really going in or out of COMC at this moment, but that will change.
So you just said you're coming back in April to tell us what?
Yes, I'll book my reservation now.
So you're on sport lots. I am a big believer in sport lots. A lot of people don't like their 1978. Are you ready to play a game type of machine that they have? It is what it is, man. And I really like the fact that they joined up with our cardboard database, so you can click on a card and go right there to buy it and all that stuff and put it into your catalog. And I like that. I was doing a lot with them, and I stopped trying to reorganize some things, trying to figure out how to sell some of my cards I just don't need. But then I buy boxes, and just trying to figure out what I'm doing. Which it's a vicious cycle we collectors have. Uh, but with I do love some sport lots, so I can go for $10. You get a lot. It is the ultimate quarter boxes. So I noticed everything went up 2 cents to 20 cents a card now, from 18 to 20. So I think I can handle it though. So next thing I want to get into is well, before that, I just want to talk briefly, now that we got some people on here, about pumping and dumping for just 1 second. Okay? Just 1 second. Be smart. I think everybody I see over here in our chatting, people that are watching, we've been doing this a long time. Okay? So when you watch a Pepsi commercial, you don't run out and buy a Pepsi bottle right then and there. And that's what these people are doing for the most part, is it's a commercial. So just be smarter. Look at we all know better than that. And we just need to be there for the new people. The new people see these people in the algorithms. They're the ones that get pointed to. So they have to live and learn. They're going to trip up a little bit. We got to feel for them and be there to pick up the pieces later. That's all we can do. Just leave it. Who cares about the pumping and dumping? But I know where the frustration comes from, and that's just I've seen so much on that this week, and Retro Hoops did a great video on it. Bobbles on here did a video on it. Know your lane, stick in your lane, and don't buy something because somebody else told you to buy it. I don't have a Ferrari out front. I still have the same truck I drove since 2004. So,
He really does, y'all.
So I mean, that's just my feelings on it. And we have a BBC. I was doing a pet peeve, baseball collector.
The Josh rated rookie is going to be mad about that, because I'm pretty sure Mike has told him the same thing before too. So we're going to have to.
Is it going to be a fight between you?
Yeah, that's going to be my next contest: is who is the better looking YouTuber. So
that's so funny. But now let's get into the other hot topic of this week: the grading. This is something I am passionate about, but not like everybody else. Mike, I'm glad you're here, because I've been giving you credit for this. I have a Frankenstein collection. JT's had me on his show to talk about it. I don't care what's on the flip. I want the card. When I grade myself, I use different companies for different reasons. PSA's almost to maybe now you're going to start seeing some Gary Carters for some reason from me, JT. But when they were higher, if you notice, I was sending in some higher on the edge of maybe if I got to pay an upcharge, I got to pay an upcharge type of deal. But I use PSA for if I'm thinking about selling. And I don't send in guys that they already have established, like I know what Judge was doing. So send in Judge, Ohtani. So when I get them back, it'll be at the beginning of next season at the latest. But the way it looks, I might be the first of the year, even better. So SGC dropping their price, and I'm going to come at it at a different angle. Everybody's thinking that SGC and CSG is competing with PSA. They're not. CSG and SGC are competing for that part of the market share. If you notice, a lot of similarities. I think that is where that competition is. Now, JD and Retro made a great point if you follow Bobbles shares a lot of it, Gem Mint on Instagram, showing the PSA and SGC. They're talking about PSA still showing it looks like it still has some backlog. That's why they're showing so many more cards than the other two. They probably do have lots more than the other two, but they're still showing some backlog, which is not necessarily a bad thing if they can handle it. It just how are you feeling? Is I lost my train of thought. We're PSA right now. They're down to what, $18 in a bulk of 50. Now that's still a lot of cards. That's 50 cards. This is the problem that CSG had, SGC's had in the past. Are they just looking for that for some of their bigger bulk guys, or is that something you think is going to drop? Have you talked to them at all, or been in touch with them, or they've been with you, email, anything that you can let us know
On the PSA side of things?
Yeah, PSA.
It's
50.
Yeah, I mean, to my knowledge right now, it's if you have a collectors club membership, you're
Right.
in. And that would lead me to believe that the people who are doing bulk like really big bulk numbers, which we learned earlier this year, I guess maybe even last year, that they classify big time people as those who spend 100,000 or more with them in a calendar year. So those people are probably getting even better rates. I know that the rates that you're seeing now have been advertised by some of the bulk submitters that I know of, that I see at shows that I set up at. So this isn't something that's new to them, but it is more so new to the public, which would make me think that PSA isn't getting as much business as they would like, which is why they're doing that. And I mean, the other companies, they just the Gem Mint data is very interesting, because there was this report that came out, I forget when it was, but the volume of cars that SGC graded had dropped by like 50% on a month-to-month basis.
That was going to be my next question, but yes, go ahead.
over the summer, and that's why people are getting their stuff back in 1 to 2 days, and that has to be concerning too. When you're someone like that, it's great to have those fast turnarounds, but they need to have that high volume of cards coming in, because a lot of these companies hired people back in the spring of 2021 to come on to tackle this massive demand. And it would be very difficult to just lay off all of those people. So they're going to have to create some work for them at some point in time. And I think now, for the longest time, we've talked about there's going to be this competition in the market space, and really it's been a competition where everybody's still really high on their prices. There will be who's the first to blink, where now it is starting to shift back into the hands of the collectors, or the actual customers and consumers who are using their grading services for any company. And they're going to have to be creative. And if you're one of these guys who are not PSA, you're going to need to come up with something if you're both running it at the same price. I found that people will almost always go with PSA. So what can these companies do about that? I don't really have a good answer for that. I don't know if you guys have an answer for that, but
I just think PSA, if they could come in with 3 months, people will take the 3 months. And sorry, SGC, if you can get it back to me in 3 hours, they're still going to go with PSA. Makes no sense to me, but I really feel
that's what PSA I think wants SGC and CGS to be in a knife fight in a phone booth,
right?
Trying to get customers, and they're going to be fighting over the scraps, because I think more people with PSA, they're going to start going right back to PSA, because whether you like it or not, who's got the market share for slabs that are being sold, the higher price.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is.
And I mean, I those cards I've been sending you, I've been waiting for PSA, because I know
I got
even
some
when I
cards for
get them back
PSA.
later, at $18, it's going to pay off in the long run than SGC. I don't have 20 of them to turn and burn on. I just got a handful. So I just would like to maximize. I don't sell a lot. So when I do, I feel like I want to get the most out of it that I can, if that's what I'm grading for. And I have
got to save my $900.
Yeah. I also have a feeling that I'm starting to feel it. I've said it in videos, the higher prices on things. And I don't know if it comes down to it, if do I save my money? You might only can do one thing, buy a card or get it graded.
Yep.
You said
That's
it before. So I could try to find it graded and hopefully get it for a good price at a lower grade. But
what you're saying though, man, I'm not there because I'm there now. And it's not because I'm being forced there, but I'm choosing there.
Right.
Because what JT has brought up that's being discussed at the shows is the economy.
Right.
Are you going to buy a card? Are you going to get a card slab? Or are you going to put gas in your vehicle?
Right. Right. I haven't got to that point, and I'm like you. I'm kind of looking. I told you this week I've already sold some of my other stuff that that I had at my house in Iowa that I just had boxed up. So I'm drastically downgrading. I took a whole tote this week and got it sold. Natsman got me set up with a gentleman in the area that wanted my wrestling stuff, so I sold that. And it's not that I have to; it's just,
liquid.
I got liquid. And
thank you, JT.
Yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward. I'll be honest. My work right now is even looking a little scary. We're hoping to have some contracts come through. But I think we'll be all right because of the field I am. But
same here.
It's just it's tough right now, and
the perks. Folks have gotten used to the perks. I know yours. We've discussed what we do for a living and kind of the perks, and it's like we just had round 2 of meetings, and a big perk for where I work at is profit sharing, and it is gone bye-bye.
Oh, really? See, we haven't. They already told us, we got to watch our hours. So if we're on overtime, and there's no need for us to be on overtime, we better be able to explain why we're on overtime, and then turn around and wanted 6 of us to work the weekend. So it doesn't make much sense.
And then we had a hurricane hit. What do you do?
Yeah. So, that's just how it works sometimes. But, I get to that point and I'm wondering, I'm sitting there, you brought up the drop. What I have noticed is I look at the hard numbers and not the percentages, because I want to see how many cards are being slapped total. And when I started seeing that number drop, and especially between the 2 guys behind, because I knew the backlogs got to be getting smaller, right, for PSA. But when the 2 guys behind them are dropping way down, and then they drop a little bit at a time, they're not even keeping up. I'm like, man, I hope they bought their stuff with cash and not credit. Really, because they're, they grew fast, and I just hope they don't put themselves in a bind, because I brought this up with SGC. SGC for so long were the only ones grading. That CSG opens up, and what was SGC at, like in the 20s all the time, $20 per card. So now the other ones are open up and going full scale, and they just dropped to, where are they at now? I'm so confused on who's on what. What's SGC? $20, 18, 17, whatever. So SGC's dropped down to this. Well, if they can work now at this, why couldn't they work at that level this whole last 6 months and made even more money? That's where I'm kind of lost at, how in economics world, how is this a oh my gosh move before they start laying off people, or I'm trying to figure that out. That's where the business. I've been laid off in my life, and it's not fun when you do everything you're supposed to do, and you get laid off, and you go and have to tell your family, I won't have a job, and I don't know exactly when. It's tough, and I feel for people in that situation. Because one hand, everybody's still looking for people to work, and on the other hand, we got this stuff going on.
SGC is you need 50 plus cards at $18 a piece with an estimated business day of 5 to 10, unless you booted it up for 1 to 2 day service, $125 a card.
Yeah, and that's I just find it hard to believe they were at $30 a card 2 weeks ago, and they had to drop it, and they had that set up before PSA announced their stuff. It was too soon. They couldn't have just overnight go over changing the card. We're changing the pricing, so where was this 6 months ago?
Well, this is kind of curious. I didn't know this. JT, you if you know this, let me know. I didn't know this. I didn't catch this in SGC's little announcement on Friday, I think it was, right? If you've got you get a 40% discount on any card that has been pre-graded with them. So technically you could get a card per card $10.80 on that 50 card offer if it was pre-graded. I mean,
yeah, that is in relation to their national 2022 service where they did the on-site raw card reviews essentially.
Okay.
So you paid for that service there, and for an additional 60% essentially, you could actually get them to slab it up. And I don't know what that number will be now, but that was, I'm pretty sure that's what that refers to the best of my knowledge.
Right. Yeah, because I'm wondering if they're going to be a Chantilly with that, because Bobbles took me over and introduced me to him on Wednesday morning. We got lucky we found the back door, and we found the Mike Morahan. He propped the door open for me, and I got in. I'm just kidding, Mike. It didn't happen. That's not how it happened. I had another way in. But anyway, I went over and talked to Peter, and he was saying, that they want to do that at more and more shows, and I think that'll really help them. I said that then because I think the dealers, really take advantage of that. They get raw cards, and I'll see them on Friday and get it that Friday afternoon and get it, an instant Saturday, So I think it's a big deal.
JT, how difficult has it been getting submissions going? Because you do submissions. How hard has it been to get folks to submit stuff to you to be able to put an order in? Are you having to put anything off? Say, all right, we didn't make it this go around. We can hold you because I don't submit, to a vendor or anything. So I'm just kind of curious about that. If you're not able to meet it, does that get held over to the next submission date group, or can you
recently
share?
It's been very difficult, and I'll give it an attribution to everything that we've pretty much talked about. Is it like economical factors? Yes. Is it the fact that card values have gone down and there's not as much stuff that is worth submitting at higher prices? Probably also yes. And then I think a lot of people were just waiting on this price decrease because it's kind of been who's going to blink first type of deal. And now that everyone has kind of changed, now everybody wants to send their stuff in. So it's been very slow for me over the last 6 weeks. I'm sure a lot of people want to get their stuff back from 2021. They want to get their stuff back from the national special this year, which is a whole nother topic with PSA. I mean, I've seen people who have gotten theirs back, myself, and then 2 of my customers who submitted under those specials. Ours are in stage 4. They have not moved. So I just don't, I mean, I have no idea why that is. And I don't think I'll ever get an answer to that. But yeah, it has been difficult. But for a lot of people, I'm seeing a lot of people sending things off still. And I think a lot of it has to do with joining the breaks and opening up the wax, because a lot of what I'm seeing sent off is not vintage. It is all newer stuff from newer products. And the price point on these players who, if they had come out 5 years ago, the hobby wouldn't care about them, is ridiculous. Like I work 1 day a week at the local card shop here just to help out a little bit, and it gives me a good pulse in the hobby. And we had a Sauce Gardner. He was the number 3 overall pick for the Jets. Has had a really good start to his NFL career, but it was an RPA out of gold standard. So you have a corner from a product that has like sticker autos. It's typically a product that doesn't do that well as time holds up. And this card sold at auction for at least $250 to my knowledge. It was out of like 49. I mean, who is paying that for a gold standard RPA of a corner? And that's not the only card of his that I've seen go for these ridiculous amounts.
Wow.
And as long as stuff like that is happening, like Kenny Pickett, his prices are absolutely absurd, in my opinion, for a guy who, in most years, people wouldn't bat an eye. He would not be a first-round quarterback in most years. There would be 5 or 6 guys on the draft board ahead of him. But people are paying these prices, and they're still sending in these cards. And the money is there. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it. So I don't think that the core behavior has changed. I'll go off on another tangent if time will allow here.
No, you go right ahead.
Yeah, so I alluded to this earlier that people are kind of figuring out now how to make money with grading again. And the thing that I see often that people are asking for is clean, that's their word, clean, raw rookies, non-base. And typically they want numbered stuff of the big names. Mm-hmm. And Panini and Topps will be happy to give you as many numbered cards as you want with all of the different variations. I mean, Topps now they've done that logo fractor thing with it, and it's just diluting it even more and more. So you're still seeing this high influx of cards because now all of a sudden there are 500 different types of Topps Chrome O'Neal Cruzes to submit. So in theory, like, yes, having a card numbered to 199, the pop is never going to go above 199 on a PSA 10. But who really cares about the Aqua logo fractor in the long run? Unless your favorite color is Aqua.
Or you're a collector trying to do the set.
Yes, you got to have a very dedicated super collector, and maybe on your top tier guys. I could understand on someone like LeBron James, where his PSA set registry for the master set is going to be collected until the end of time, and there will always be a ton of LeBron collectors. But for a guy like O'Neal Cruz, the odds are very much stacked against him to have that kind of huge hobby following. He'll always be at least number 2 in Pittsburgh. And farther down that list he goes, the more and more difficult you will find getting a home for those cards eventually. So I think now that people, when they're going after these clean, raw, numbered cards, I think that a lot of these parallels are, unfortunately, they're just going to be not worth all that much, and people are going to lose money on that. But there will be something to replace it. We all know that. So
when did you notice that shift?
That's a good question. I think really when the population numbers started coming out on like the Zion Prism and the Luka Prism. So after people got burned by those base rookies and raw prices started to come down on that numbered stuff, that's when they went into it. I see now a lot of people are even adding on to it where they're saying, like, for basketball or football, Prism Optic Select only, because they don't want to mess with illusions. They don't want to mess with gold standard. They don't want to mess with, insert your favorite B tier product here. They want these premium brands, but even within the premium brands, they're just so diluted with all of these colors that really nobody's going to care about. They're cool. There's a lot of really cool things that they do. But when you have too much cool stuff it just diverts attention too much where the demand is just not going to be there. So
and that was cool for collectors, just like player collectors. It's fun to you've done it until you stopped having pages of cards of different colors. You know, I have it right here beside me with my, Natsman has it. It is fun to collect that way.
My Robles, yeah, you saw it, yeah.
Yeah, if it is, because of you, JT, in the original Oracle, I have, those books that I do that with now.
I did.
But, it's like you said, and from the lack of knowledge of these people, they don't understand that a lot of times Topps and Panini, some of the lower printed stuff is not numbered. You get some of the refractors in certain sets and stuff like that. The refractors that are non-numbered are some of the lowest printed stuff. They'll be out of 50 or something like that. And people can't wrap their head around it because it's not numbered.
Andy makes a great point.
Yeah, that summarizes it pretty well right there. And I see that a lot too, more and more with people where they will put little stickers on their cards that shows next to the price when they are priced, of course. Maybe sometimes they don't even have the price. They'll just put like pop 1 or pop 3.
They'll be like, hold on, let me get a price. I'm gonna look up.
Yeah. But I mean, who really cares? Like what on a card, for example, for me, I've never understood this. I've had people look at my cards that are numbered to 25 or numbered to 10, and they ask, "What's the pop on this?" And I mean, does it really matter? You're not going to find another one that is numbered to 25 or 10. Most likely, the number of them that are out there for this specific card is so low. But I mean, it's
the question should have been. That. The question should have been, I would have been like, JT, what's the highest grade you've got in this card series? Right. That's what I'm really looking for. I'm not worried about the pop. I want to know how many 10s are there. Things right. Like that. But, yeah, that's a trip.
And I mean, I think we lost Scott here. I think he froze up, so I'll carry the show for.
That's it. Hey, we're going to get scoliosis carrying this thing, ain't we?
Yeah, we are. This is a big load to carry, but yeah, I mean, Andy just summarized it perfectly there with the low pop thing. I mean, it's a very nice, flashy type of thing, and I hear people tell me like I like the low pop stuff, but it doesn't always necessarily reflect demand, or it doesn't reflect actual scarcity. Because in my opinion, to have scarcity, you have to have some sort of demand with it. I mean, something could be numbered to 10, but if nobody really cares about that player, how much do we really put into that scarcity? How much do we really value it? There he is. Oh, shoot, my back.
Yeah, man, we got jacked up backs, bro. JT's been carrying the show right now.
Yeah,
that's like Juan Soto's
points here.
Juan Soto's base card, I think the US 300. I think that's a prime example for that card. The pop count is ungodly. There's a lot. But in the whole total realm of possible production, because it's an update card, it's not really as many as what would have been in the Series 1 card. So it adds a little, to me, that makes it a card that you would a little bit higher, if I'm making any sense.
Totally, yeah, absolutely. And I think that if this $18 special was around when Series 1 came out, the Wander Pop would have exceeded 10,000 already in terms of PSA 10s. Here's another one too with these this Charizard again. I looked at the population of that when I bought the 10 of them, and it was like 36,000 or something like that. And it's because with these promo cards in Pokemon, they are put into the little packs. And it's also gotten to the point now where people know about condition. They know valuable these cards can be. So they're not giving them a chance to be damaged. The reason why the stuff from the mid 2000s that is now worth much in PSA 10s is because they have scratches on them, because people didn't care back then. People just tossed them to the side, where now everything is, if it's numbered, it gets sleeved immediately. It's put in my card saver. I have the little special sleeves to send it in with. There's no chance for any of these things to get damaged
until they do the.
Well, yeah.
Until the fingernail grab.
Yeah.
That's an awesome point. With I've sent in plenty of TCG cards to you over the last couple of years. They're not mine though; they're my friends. But my friend that gets them, Jesse is his name. Blinks. He told me, and he keeps up with this, that Pokemon came out, and when the shells were being wiped out, they said, we don't care. We'll print as many as we need. If people are going to buy them, we're going to print it. They don't care. That's when we talk about how many are out there. Like, people want to make fun of Panini because they don't put the stuff on there, how many 1 in 6 packs as Libra. That they don't care. They'll print them because people are going to buy them. So we have to remember that as I don't care that they overprint.
Then there's the illusion too. They underprinted too. In the same token, they can say, "Hey, you don't know how many we did or didn't print. We could have printed only 100 of them."
Right.
Or you could just not print them at all, like the extended Topps Chrome SPs. But I mean,
ooh, yeah, that right there. But like I said, we did the video. What do you do? As a collector, we don't forgive them, but it's Topps. So I went out and I didn't forgive them when I bought this, but I wanted it, right?
We know they're the friend we know that does dumb shit, and we're still friends with them.
I don't even know how many autographs. It says 3 in here. So I can get anywhere from 0 to 15. But, what are you going to do? Maybe we should all stop and only buy off of singles. And I don't know what the answer is. But, when it's a monopoly, what are you going to do at the end of the day? Because I honestly think they knew that stuff wasn't in there. And they were like, maybe if we're quiet, nobody will notice.
You got to notice.
It took, 2 days? Took somebody to open up a case and go, I didn't get a short print. So, I honestly didn't. I bought a box of the logo Fractor. I think that is a beautiful card, to tell you the truth. Have you seen one? I'm sure you've seen one.
I haven't seen it yet.
I got to see him in person for the first time at the show this weekend, and I want to put this out there that I'm not a hater in the sense that I don't like that stuff, because they are really cool. Like that, credit to Topps and Panini, when they come out with this stuff, they do a fantastic job. A lot of these cards look absolutely amazing. My problem mostly comes with the fact that there's just so much awesome stuff out there that it kind of loses the fact that it's special, when there's just too many competing interests. So.
I hate that they had to put short prints in the Chrome. Yeah. I hate it, because to me, it's still not the rookie card. Their rookie cards are not going to be till update when they're in the regular print run. But see, I'm old school. I think the first flagship in the print run is their rookie card. I know we have a friend that will fight us on that their rookie card was in last year's Bowman's Best or whatever.
Yeah, Mr. Pages sends his regards. He will be having a word with you.
So, and he has I agree with him. If that's what he thinks the rookie card is, that's him. But to me, I feel like it's the so I could care less. I got this one back this week. And SGC, the short print of Julio Rodriguez that I hit at the National. I bought one box and hit it at the National at the
Pretty
house.
card.
Got a 9.5, but to me, it's still not the rookie card because it's short printed. So I
Right.
still want the base rookie card that comes in the update. And I think that guy's going to be a heck of a player. So I want all of his cards. But that's the collector in me.
I think the reason that Topps has done that with those guys is because they know these things are being printed. So they want to try to hold on to any perception that any of these things are rare as much as possible.
Right.
But there are so many more of those Julio, Bobby Witt, and Torkelson SPs and Topps than there were the Vlad no numbers. And there are a lot more Vlad no numbers than there were bat down Acunas in 2018.
Yeah.
I mean, these cards, they look like they're definitely more difficult to hit than the base cards or maybe even some of the regular SPs. But at the same time, when you're producing a lot more of it, kind of negates the purpose, doesn't it? They're not really shorter. They're shorter printed compared to everything else, but they're by no means short print. The presses are still rolling.
Right.
That print's going on. So
But I can tell you in 2018, when, before the craziness, before the boom, I could buy packs and whatever anytime I wanted to. I got so much stuff that I didn't even know I had a bat down card till 2 years ago, I think. I was looking through my Acuñas and I went,
nice.
oh, but I was bombarded with so much stuff.
Did you really say just
It didn't grade very well. I almost want to crack it, resend it to somewhere else, but I don't feel like playing that game. I did that with a Freddie Freeman and only got a grade bump, and I thought it was the one that me and you both couldn't really figure out why it got a 6. Probably can't remember with all the cards you've seen, but
I remember that video.
Yeah, it was. Even you said I can't.
Yeah, you did on the video.
I was like, yeah,
but that's rare that you do that.
Yeah, I don't usually question either. I get the car and I'm like, oh, that's what that on that day at that moment, that's what that person said it was. But me and Bobbles have had the discussion, and some other people. It's like that 6 is right underneath the 9, and we think that gets hit by accident a lot of times. But whatever. But I don't think the Acuña is a 9 either. But to be real,
just one thing.
Okay,
I know that in our little chat group, I don't know who sent it. I don't know if it was JD or Bobbles who sent it. You could have sent it. I can't remember. But it would just briefly going back to the serial numbered relic cards. It was I think it was a Leaf product, wasn't it? And they had 2 listings. It was serial numbered relic auto, and it was like Leaf or somebody, and they were asking like $17,000.
That was JD. Yeah, set that out.
I mean, are you seeing anybody at the shows, like not at that price point, of course, but those lower end products that are cool to have if you're a player collector? I get it. I mean, if you saw something that was cool. But do you see any of that at the shows, or has anybody tried to pass that to you? The lower tier stuff, trying to make it equal out to the higher tier products.
Yeah, that perfectly ties into the whole people advertising the populations on their cards, because most of the time what it is it's stuff like that from lower tier products. Maybe not necessarily like a Leaf product, but something that is your Panini Elite, for example. I love Elite personally, and if I had a player in the set that I wanted to collect, I would go after those cards. But when you have some random parallel that's numbered to 88 and it's a pop 2 on the PSA 10s, that is kind of what they're pushing to me, and they're commanding a huge premium. They're trying to apply like this multiplier to it just because it is a PSA 10 over a PSA 9 or over the raw price. So that's more so where I'm seeing it, is people trying to make things rare where really it's just another numbered card in a sea of numbered cards from a product that doesn't have a great lineage to it, that doesn't have a good history of holding resale value. And aside from your most dedicated collectors or set builders, it's not going to have a very long-term appeal. So that's mostly where I'm seeing it at. Have I seen anything ridiculous in terms of Leaf stuff? Yeah, it's more so like the celebrity stuff, like the Leaf Metal Pop Century
Okay.
thing, that like those. I see a lot of people, or Honus Bonus was like a weird like thing where they had like a bunch of 101s that they put out. It's like you got a 101 in every pack. And every now and then I'll see someone put them out for like $60 at a show because it says 101. But I used to buy the Miggies on ComC for $2 a piece. They're not worth anything. So I see that kind of stuff from time to time, but nothing as extreme as what you're saying.
Yeah, I think we all fell out when we saw that one.
Well, you did say like basketball. I mean, not basketball. Wrestling was pretty big at this show. I think wrestling is making a big comeback. Too bad Come Egg. Hopefully he's still here. They just had a big return of a huge wrestler this week. And there's competition in wrestling. So every time there's competition, everything gets better. We're seeing it in the grading. We're seeing it in other places. But I'm a wrestling fan, grew up with it. And then when the Attitude Era with WCW and WWE, WWF, it blew up. And I think we're going to see that again with AEW, just to let you know why you're starting to see more and more wrestling. And you got smaller ones that are kind of like the minor leagues now that are contributing to all of this. So I think we're about to see another explosion in wrestling. And I'm for it. If it's make wrestling fun again, that's what I say. But
do we have time for a quick story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah. So one of the cards that I kind of regret not going after at this show was a Brock Lesnar Color Blast from the Prism. And this happened probably a dozen times at this show where I saw the sticker and I'm like, hold on a minute, that can't be right. And then it turns out that most of the time it's actually a little overpriced, or like, no, that actually is right. And without looking it up, just to guess, What do you guys, it's a raw card. What do you guys think the sticker was?
Color Blast. From this year's the first product,
Yeah,
I would say
Prism.
like 1,200 because Color Blast or what a box case it.
I would say 1,000.
I would say 1,200.
All right. Well, Natsman was closest, but you were both way over. It was $350.
Oh, really?
Wow.
And that was my reaction too.
Wow.
That's what we charge for a
Well, look
box
what
in the
page.
shop.
Right.
Was $350. So I saw that and I was like, wow, really? So I think what you're seeing right now is that there was all this hype around it and it shot to the moon. I did a video about this a couple of weeks ago, but now that it's corrected itself and a lot of the interest has died down, those who are going to actually be interested in it and that organic interest will probably start to rise. And that I am seeing more and more with that nostalgia starting to return. It's more so genuine this time. Then you can tell that people weren't really in it for the long haul before. So yeah, if you are, I'm not telling you to go out and buy that stuff if you don't have any interest in wrestling stuff, but if you are a collector of that stuff and you want an opportunity, Q4 of 2022 is probably going to be your best shot. Yeah, there you go. Those are the retail exclusives, right?
So a slow rise and probably slow rise in pricing to get it instead of that upshot from maybe people fear of missing out and being able to flip it because it was rising. They were trying to get it before the dip, maybe.
Right.
And I just think they got a good batch of not quite Rock S or Steve Austin, but the people have a lot of charisma and people are really following them. They're letting them loose again. it's not PG anymore, so the adults are digging it a little bit more. Letting it be fun. But I even look. I picked this up this week. NXT 2.0. Even though I'm not a big WWE fan, but Bray Wyatt was back last night. That's what I was talking about. So they got me hooked for right now. Anything else? I know I had something else on my mind, but I'm going to let it go. JT, always fun.
Thank you.
Ton of knowledge, man. I appreciate you coming on. Short notice. We were planning on having Lou Rock. Everything's good with him. He's one of the guys that made fun of me about losing to the Braves. So
probably exhausted at this point.
Yeah, so we'll have him on. Yeah, Chris Jericho is hot, Andrew. He's AEW. He's carrying it. But I think the whole thing with CM Punk is a work. That's my take on it. But anyway,
throw your shout outs, JT, for your social media platforms.
Yeah, eBay it, all your stuff.
Everywhere, COMC or YouTube, you can find me Triple Crown 24. Everywhere else, it's Triple Crown, my name right there. And it's a pleasure to come on the show. I loved the first one I did. I'm back. I think I have a few more appearances left on my deal. I'm hoping to work out an extension to stay with the Big Scott 35. Let's talk. I really love the culture, and let's get it.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, I love the fact that when you said it, I'm going to be on Big Scott 35. Thank you for that. That I don't know what we're going to talk about. It's going to be all the way. We're going to be on some about the hobby. And I'm like, man, he nailed that. I love being non-scripted, and I told everybody that we'll probably be going over a little bit because you're one of the guys that I kind of forget we got to chat, and it's like talking to a friend, man.
Very easy conversation.
Yeah, and it's just fun, and if get a chance, you need to watch his psychology of the hobby, his takes on the shows. They're excellent. He just doesn't talk about, hey, I went to the show, here's my pickups. He breaks it down in a way that nobody I have seen. It's awesome. And I told you before the show, I really love that, and always look forward to that. And we all know you have an Apple computer. And
especially all you new folks, all the new folks. He's one of the channels that I started watching when I was getting back into the hobby. He's not telling you what to buy, what to sell. He's not saying I need a membership for you to join to get extra content, nothing like that. He's very transparent on what he does and is very educational, and he's sharing knowledge, as the Oracle says. Share knowledge.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, gentlemen. It is much appreciated, and I enjoy listening when I'm on the sidelines here, listening to throwing this conversation on Monday morning when I'm powering through my work. And
that's what it's made for. The drive to work, hanging out, doing whatever you need to do. That's what I like about this. When we it's not just about the cards; it's about the people. As John Newman talks about. So Newman being a hobby. So yeah, show cards. I did a video Saturday morning, released one on that little boy back there, that new picture. If y'all haven't noticed, redoing, almost ready to do a card room reveal of my new place. I'm a little excited about that. This is show 97, I believe, if my math is right off the top of my head. So in a couple of weeks, I'll be in Chantilly. That night, I will have Big Scott 35 Senior with me. and that's always a fun show to have him on. We'll be going to Chantilly for a couple of days. And then the week after that, I believe, is show 100. And I'm hoping to have a special guest on with me that night with Natsman to kick off the 100th show. I'm going to leave it up to Natsman to get me somebody for next week. I like doing that to him. We do have a couple lined up, and
Yeah, we got some folks lined up, y'all. So.
And I am Retro Hoops got me excited last week. Every time I can get JT on, makes me excited. Every time I get any of my guests on, because I can't believe people say yes to me. I think it's great, and I'm like, huh? But
is it 2 weeks or 3 weeks out? We're going to have Andy.
That's going to be in
November.
Because it's like he wanted to come on tonight. I was doing Chantilly. Then the other night I threw out. He has a show he's working at for JSA, so we'll have Andy Rafa from JSA in November.
Talking about autos and
how that works, and he has knowledge galore of the hobby. So till next time, we'll see you.
Deuce.